Hello, this is Kevin. Thank you for watching KBTV and welcome to part 2 of my interview with Diego Espinoza, Realtor Magazine's 30 Under 30. Welcome back, Diego.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what does being honored by Realtor Magazine with over 2 million subscriptions, being named 30 Under 30, what does that mean to you?
You know, you look at the requirements that you needed to have to apply. And we could have, I could have applied a long time ago, and I didn't. I applied the kind of the second year, and then this year we actually were like, hey, we're going to spend some time on it. And people were telling me, they're like, hey, Diego, you're that's kind of unlike you. You really kind of like to stay away from, from all that stuff and just kind of stay low key. And you know why I did it, KB? It was strike one for the little guy type of thing. So I know we hadn't had somebody in our whole valley or region ever, win that award. It's kind of for all the communities that I'm part of. So from the farm labor community, campesino community, which I was part of actively till I was 16, from the ghettos of so many places here in our area, and so it's kind of more for them. So my thing in my head is I want to see this kid pick this up, say, well, this person grew up just like me, and then see it as a possibility. So it's kind of like one for them type of thing. I know it sounds cliche, but really that's how I feel.
I like it. And like you said, there has to be something else that drives you besides money. Yep. And I would go so far as besides fame as well. There's something else, whether you're doing it for family, you're doing it for your inner self. And what Diego is mentioning, it's such an amazing achievement. How the entire United States, I guess it could be North America, but Realtor Magazine only picks 30 people under the age of 30 for this honor. And we checked the history, and since this award started back in the late 90s, there has not been a honoree from Fresno County, Kings County, or Tulare County, ever. There's been some exceptional, talented people that have applied for this honor, but even they were not able to achieve what Diego has achieved. So it's really quite amazing. Diego, you're constantly evolving, and you're a visionary. You're 5 years into this business. You have a construction company, you have an investment company, you have your real estate company. What's your vision for your business, and where do you go from here?
Well, that's a big question. Well, let's start with the real estate part. The real estate part, Kevin, I see it as people laugh all the time when I have set goals and stuff like that, and then we reach them, and then they're like, okay, he did that, that was luck. And then you put another one like, he reached that, and then you're like, it's not a pattern, guys. It's kind of we go after very heavily after what we set our goals to. I see no reason why as a team we can't reach the #1 spot, or reach the top 5 in the even this year. So it sounds crazy. Coming out of the valley, our prices are much lower than other people's. I still think we can get right up there. So that's it on the real estate end.
And you're talking nationwide.
Yeah, I'm talking nationwide. Yeah, no, California, we better blow through that. No offense to California, but we're going to get through that. And on the investment part, Kevin, it started, with single family. Now we're going into commercial, multifamily, entertainment business, as well as the restaurant business. So. Again, this is actually the first time I'm saying that. If I tell that to a lot of people, they're gonna like, "Hey, this guy's crazy." I'm like, "Hey, we've done it. We've been crazy before."
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to do it again. So that's kind of what it is on the investment end, and on the real estate part.
And the sky's the limit, right?
I think so, man. That's why we got into this, right?
Absolutely. So, Diego, what advice would you give to somebody that's wants to go into real estate? And wants to be an entrepreneur like yourself? What advice would you give to them just starting out?
Just starting out. Well, I would say you sometimes you start at things, right, and then we think of it as being this progression, right? You start here, and in so many years you're supposed to do this, whichever industry you're in, just across the board in business, and after the 5th year you're supposed to be doing this. That's just noise. That's just noise. Time is precious. Get on it today. What people are doing in 10 years, knock it out in 2, and really just plow forward full on. Don't let people tell you, hey, this is kind of the pace that you're supposed to take. If you have the ability and the drive and the hunger to do it, go for it. The stars most of the time will align if you work hard. It's kind of like water; it'll move out of your path, and you'll be able to get there. So that's been my take on it. So.
And Diego, specifically, what about the person that came from where you came from, that couldn't just go borrow money and didn't really have a family business to go into, especially when your father had passed away when you were 18. Let's just say they were dealt a tougher hand in life than some other people were dealt.
Yeah.
Would you give them any advice in addition to what you just said?
It's kind of going back to what I mentioned about the point. It's just the point where we start at, Kevin. I always said this when I was in college. I said, I don't have a millionaire, dad and mom ready to, here it is. They pull up their bootstraps and they get that $1 million and they go at it. And I said, well, I'm going to create my own $1 million while in college and then get out and pull up my bootstraps. So it's really, it gets to a point where that stuff doesn't matter that much, Kevin. And you get to a point in business where it doesn't matter that much where you started. And really, it's more of a blessing. What a concept, right? I started here, there's so many lessons to be learned. And, say, for instance, the point where I started from to now, right, is, to me, so much more difficult than where I'm at right now and the crazy goals that I have. And I find that so much more difficult. So just, think about that real quick. I think it's a blessing, and you should be blessed, or feel blessed to have it like that.
Diego, and I can so relate with you, and that's why I like hanging around you, is because you always tell me, Kevin, you don't even understand. My goals are crazy. They're crazy. They're just, if I told you, you would just, I feel the same way about my goals. I mean, it's just like I have huge goals, like crazy goals, stuff I write down and I don't share with anybody except for my wife, Danny. Yeah. It's just like if I did, people would think I'm nuts. But you own your own airplane. You were a millionaire by the age of 23. You helped your family, and your sisters have all been through college or are completing college, Ivy League schools. Your mom, she's taken care of, and so my question for you is, now at this point, what is it that drives you? What makes you say, yeah, I am going to work 100 hours a week, and if I have to go without eating or without showering for a day, I'll do it.
Yeah, it's something, because you're pretty insane yourself. So it's probably something you probably feel something similar. It's almost like it's almost like you need it. It's not the money part. You chase the money, and then you chase the vision, and the money follows after. Usually, I tell people all the time, if you have $5 million or $10 million or $50 million in your bank account, you're living about the same. Mm-hmm. So it gets to a point where you're not doing it for that, and it just, if you love that, if you love the idea of, hey, let's put this together and let's do it this way, and let's see what the product is, let's see what the outcome is. There's a thrill to that, There's a thrill to the chase. And even if you go back and give it back, I know, you do some charity stuff. We started doing the scholarship this year. That stuff is, it's like, hey, you guys go make money, and then you're giving it away. It's the fact of going there and doing it. So that's the kind of the mentality when I'm doing the business. But if you had to ask me the drive today, the push today, Kevin, it's still the same thing for me, man. It really is. It's, now my brothers and sisters are there, so we always joke. I say, hey, if I ever go bankrupt, you guys got to take me in, right? Yeah. So it's like they're there, they're doing well, but I just I don't know. I do it for the same thing. I made a promise to my dad. We have, most people do their end of the year goals at the end of the year. I do mine, at his passing. I turned 18 in the hospital at October 27th, and he passed October 31st. That for me is where I reflect. I say, how was my year, and what am I going to do next? And so every year, still now, that's my reflection point. That's where I set my new goals, and it's still the same thing. It might sound crazy, but that's really it for me.
And you make a lot of sense. You talk about giving, and you've received a lot of what this world has to offer through your hard work and efforts, and we live in a great country where the sky really is the limit, and as much as you put into it is what you can receive. But you talked about giving, and for myself, there's no better feeling than be able to give and help people. And I want to talk about that for you because you recently sponsored a scholarship for your high school, I believe.
Correct.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was. When I graduated from high school, I received a bunch of scholarships. I really did. And so right then and there, I told myself I'm going to give back one day. And I was sitting at one of the awards, and a gentleman that was part of the committee looked at me, and he's like, put his arm on my shoulder, and he said, "Hey, let's go talk in the lobby." He goes, "We've heard enough of this," right? Kind of in a jokingly way. So I followed. So we went, sat in the lobby. He told me something. It went something along the lines. He goes, "Money is like bread or something like that. You throw it in the water, you go down the river, and it comes back to you full of water."
Mm-hmm.
And it just, kind of stuck in my head. And I told myself, when I'm able to, I'm gonna give back. So I've been doing it a couple different ways, and it just became a little bit more public with a recent scholarship that we did. And it feels so good because I was in high school not that long ago, and I remember sitting there and looking at it saying, "Wow, I just got $2,000. That would have been like how many bins of oranges," type of thing. So it's that idea, and we chose. Gee, man, you read these stories, and it was so hard to choose one. It's really incredible.
I believe you.
So.
That's awesome. And I know a lot of what you do for the community and giving back. It's a private matter, and I understand that. But that was one thing that I just thought was I wanted to talk about. It was interesting to share because giving back to your high school and receiving a scholarship like you did, and like probably your sisters did as well, because of their great grades. I think that's awesome. One question I do have for you, and I'm not sure if I ever really asked you this question, but you were in real estate for a few months, and then Brian Eisenhower introduced me to you. And what Brian Eisenhower told me was, this guy is he's going to be a superstar. I think you had sold a couple homes at that point.
Yeah.
And we met in my office, and you were wearing a very nice suit. It was 100 degrees outside. And we talked, and I can tell you that I knew within the first 10 minutes, done and done, this guy is going to rock it and be one of the best we've ever seen in our county. So my question for you is, why did you choose to join with me to build what I was wanting to build?
Again, you don't have to reinvent the toilet paper. There's no need to. If you have someone that is doing something great, right? They're doing it well. There's no reason to go and reinvent the toilet paper. I get asked that all the time. Hey, why aren't you doing your own team? With the volume you do, why aren't you doing your own team? And so it's going back to the same thing. If there's someone that's doing something well, there's no reason to go and duplicate it. If you're able to go in there, get from and give back to that, you can really create. When people are working and they're working in a fair way, you're able to accomplish that. So, when you mentioned when Brian introduced me to you, the conversation you didn't hear was he called me and he said, "Hey, do not feel bad. Kevin never hires on the first interview ever." He goes, "So you're going to go in there, and then you're going to come back for another 30 minutes a couple weeks from now, and then maybe another 30 minutes a couple weeks from then." And I remember we were supposed to do 30 minutes. It was at 6:30 p.m. We went in there and we walked out, and it was dark, and it was like 9:30, we were on. So I think it was we hit it right off.
And I thank God for that day. I thank God for Brian Eisenhower, who also introduced me to my wife, Danny, and for him introducing me to you. You inspire me, you motivate me, and I know that our real estate team, would not be the #1 team in the entire state of California without you. I acknowledge that. And it's just great. I feel like we have a partnership. And the cool thing about our team is that you have formed your own team within a team.
Yeah.
And that's what, and I love it. And I think you should, and whatever I can do to help expand that. But let's talk about Biggie Smalls and Tupac coming together. I know you're excited. Diego, there's a lot of people that make us help us successful. Our wives, our girlfriends. You got Natasha and Julia and Juan and a bunch of good people back at Vero. But tell us about Biggie and Tupac
Coming
coming together. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exciting, right?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's like you said, hey, and I said earlier, we're all a product of a lot of people. You know, you and I get to sometimes stand at the podium, but there is a sea of people behind us. So
Absolutely.
yeah, the people at Vado have been great, and but I've never taken on an agent to kind of be an extension of myself. And here's this girl she got licensed, you know, sometime not too long after I got licensed. And here, every property I would put out, it seemed that we had at least 2 deals going on every month. And so it kind of became a thing where it was like, hey, we think we can really work together. We've done so many deals together that we almost sat down. We still don't have a written agreement. Serious. So, and that's just the type of girl she is. Kyo Ceci. So she's awesome, and true story. So this is 2 weeks ago, right? 4 escrows from 2 weeks ago. So it's already
And the
working.
listing.
Yeah, and the listing. Maybe 2 listings.
Maybe
She's awesome. Kind of the same DNA. Super hardworking. Let's help clients. Let's get the deal done, and the money will follow. She's I feel really blessed to have her come on.
I know Keo a little bit, and I know of her a lot. By watching her business, it's going to be an awesome benefit to you. And what an exciting opportunity for Keo to, at a young age, to be able to come in and work with an entrepreneur and one of the best real estate agents that we've ever seen in Tulare County. It's fun. I'm excited. I'm glad that we're all working together. You're watching KBTV with my guest, Diego Espinoza, Realtor Magazine 30 Under 30 honoree. Look for the issue coming out in the May/June edition, which should be late May, early June. Pick it up and you can read more about Diego. You can also go to YouTube to watch the video about Diego. It gives a little bit more information about his upbringing, and I highly recommend it. And you can go to YouTube channel Kevin Blaine. Also, Diego, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
It'll be reaching us at the office or email.
Okay.
Also through our website.
Awesome. Diego Espinoza, Realtor Magazine 30 Under 30, top individual real estate agent in Tulare County, and I'm happy to call my partner and my friend. You're watching KBTV. Thanks for tuning in, and join us next week on KBTV. Have you seen Wedding Crashers when Owen Wilson comes over to Will Ferrell's house? It's actually his mom's house. Mom, can we get some meatloaf?
He rehearses before. Unique New York. All male brown cow.
What's his name on that show?
Ron Burgundy.
This is Ron Burgundy. Stay classy, San Diego. Or, hey, how you doing? I'm sorry. I'm getting off track. Okay. All right, you're watching Kate. Are you ready?
Hold on.